Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be on the World Wide Web. Welcome to Giants Blitz, our show about all things football, right here live from Studio Wayne on ChilliwackGiants.com. I'm your host, Tim Amy, and we've heard it all 1,000 times. It's not about winning. It's about teamwork, hard work, friendship, listening to your coach, having fun. But of course, that begs the question, if it's not about winning, then why keep score? So joining me to discuss this today is Colin Boyd, a coach with Chilliwack Giants football. Welcome, Colin.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited
It's
to
our
be
pleasure.
here.
And of course, Tom Caverly, the veteran and another coach with Chilliwack Giants and board member. How long have you been with the Giants now?
Oh God, it's been a few years now, but it's been a lot of fun.
A lot of fun. Oh yeah.
Since the beginning.
There we go.
Yeah.
From the beginning. From the beginning.
From the beginning.
So I'm going to defer to you, Tom, being the veteran on this. If it's not about winning, then why are we keeping score every single game?
Well, I think there becomes a point where it is about winning, and when you think about it, we want our kids to learn how to play football, learn teamwork, come together, and at one point, we need to teach them how to be winners. We want them to be successful in life. And this is one of the ways that we do it. We keep score. It helps them to get better. It helps them to become winners.
Okay. And Colin, what's your take on this whole thing?
Oh, I'm with Tom. I mean, completely in life, in sports, in all. There's no doubt you keep score no matter how it is. I think we just gauge success on that, whether it be the scoreboard at the end. There's many different ways that we can gauge things, whether it be the scoreboard points wise or tackles, blocks, hits, whatever it is. I think you need to keep track of things, especially for the young guys. I work with the little guys at the
Adam level.
Adam
Yeah,
level,
you're at the Adam
and
level.
we need to. For me, I always try to draw the attention away from the scoreboard until the end, and just try to teach them that as long as we all do our job and keep track of the other things, the winning takes care of itself. And I think everybody has a different definition of winning. Like I said before, a synonym of success. You can gauge that differently. Winning could be the final score on the scoreboard, or that every young athlete on our team left every ounce of energy that they had at the end of a game. And, to me, that's a win as well.
But what if they lost and they're all crying? Then what? Because we've seen that.
That's never happened to me. I don't know.
Tough,
I've seen that. So grateful that's never happened on our sidelines. I've been blessed with a lot of great help and guidance in this league so far, but I've seen it happen on others, and I think it's all in the preparation beforehand. That if we can guide these young people, again, I work with the young kids, so it's completely different than if I'm working with a 16-year-old. I mean, you can't fool them anymore.
No.
If I'm working with a 6 and 7-year-old, and you get a young guy that pulls a flag and he's just super amped about it, whether the guy already got a touchdown or not, if I can pump that guy up and he comes back to play next year, that's a win to me. I mean, from the beginning of the season, I base a win on how many athletes come back. When I set my goals, that's the main thing, and then from that, many other goals come from it. But I try to keep the language when I'm dealing with athletes off of the scoreboard.
But we keep score anyway, though, Tom.
Oh, absolutely.
So we have a score clock, and we all watch the score clock.
And I think Colin's already said it, but I'll say it in a different way, because when you hear the players ask what's the score, the answer is always the same. It's 0-0. Because you're trying to win the quarter, but at the end of the day, you're starting over and over again. And if you happen to be on that team that's on the losing, where it's, let's say, a 30-5 kind of defeat, that's an opportunity, I think, to teach the kids what it means to work through adversity and get better from there. So that's one of the reasons I think we do keep score. It's to teach them to basically overcome adversity, and not just in sports, but life, really. So
how to lose, really. How to lose gracefully.
How to lose gracefully.
Yeah.
And I can speak from experience that no one likes to be in that side of the fence where you feel that way, and it's in my mind somewhat motivation to say, I don't want to be there, and what am I going to do to move forward and make sure I get the win next time, as a team, of course, right? So.
But winning, Colin, you can admit, winning is fun. It's
Sure.
fun at the end of the game. Your team has scored more points than the other team, And you had a good winning season last year. What was your record?
We had more wins than losses.
Yeah. No, but
never get that out of me. I can't keep track of this.
But you were what, 5-3 or so? Right?
At least, yeah.
Around that, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean at least? Do you know exactly what your record was? What was your record?
We competed well. That's the way I look at it. Like it's like, I mean, you talk to me about winning and losing, and I think it's all about competition for me. And you say whether it's a win or a loss, just like Tom said, a loss is a great teaching point. And when I'm dealing with young kids, young individuals that we want to put out into society and be good business people, be good leaders, whatever it is, if we can go through a losing game, sometimes I'd rather do that. On a great losing score, if I can come out of there and the kids are pumped up, ready to prepare for the next game and build on what they didn't do well or what we can do better and things like that, I think teaching points are a win as well. That's why I say the definition of a win can vary just as much as the definition of success, I think.
Here's an interesting point to expand on what you're talking about. Tom, I'll turn to you first. The kids win more? Do the kids learn more from winning or losing?
Well, I think that depends on the way the coaches have dealt with the kids to prepare them either way, and how the coaches react when they're. I just lost my train of thought here. What was the question again? So
in terms of learning, do you learn more from a win or do you learn more from a loss?
I think it's definitely the loss, and even to the point where my son is after the game, because they're fortunate enough to be filmed here in Chilliwack. He's looking to see what happened during that game, what went wrong, how can he do better. So he's taking opportunities there, but it's because we've set the stage as coaches, as parents, and say, look, if you want to get better, there's only one way. It's practice, practice, practice. Look what you've done wrong, or look what you were successful at, and make the efforts to improve.
What about you?
Well, speaking of that, I think, a couple great points brought up there. It's much more fun to watch that game film when you know the outcome, and it is a W.
There you go.
About that.
There you go.
Because we go through it.
I told you so.
We do the write-ups and all that type of stuff, but on the other end of it, there's not as many teaching points.
Yeah.
When we come back on Tuesday afternoon and we're going back to these young people and thinking, obviously, when I come in, I'm pumping tires up all the way and then saying, however, we can improve on this. Here's something else we can do. We can go back to the blocks. We can go back to the basics again. And I just love those teaching opportunities. And to speak about keeping score, I played a round of golf today. And I keep track of that. I'm not very good at golf. I'm not on the PGA Tour. I'm definitely not winning any awards at it. But I keep score to know that next week, how can I get better? How can I improve? How many putts did I have? Did I reduce my amount of putts? Just like on football games, did I reduce the amount of points against? Or did I increase the amount of tackles that I have? With the young guys, I keep track of how many white shirts, because our team's white, are on the ball carrier each time. Those are the things that I track and make sure that from that the wins kind of take care of themselves.
Preparation.
Exactly. That's
okay.
That's the way with the young guys. I understand
Yeah.
that as this league, as our children progress and get older, and the game gets a little bit more competitive, I guess it changes. But for me, I think, like you said, the preparation, and then from that, hopefully they're athletes that are prepared to go to the next level in each step and beyond. For me.
Now, you were part of our junior bantam team last
Yes.
season.
Yes.
That went all the way to provincial finals, and you lost one game.
One game.
And what game was that you guys lost?
The provincial final.
The provincial final.
Yes.
So you were undefeated the whole way through. So when you talk about winning as losing as the real means of teaching in terms of getting better. So how do you go through a season when you lose the last game of the season? And how do you grow and learn and teach the lessons when you keep winning all the time?
That's a tough one, but I will tell you this: throughout the season, the coaching staff did prepare the team with respect to dealing with the loss, and that was used as a motivation to get the team to work together. And I think truly we were blessed as far as the players we were given last year. But as far as the teaching points that come afterwards, when we lost that game and we were in the dressing room afterwards. That was a pretty tough time for the players and for the coaches, and um, I don't think it would have mattered what anybody said at that point. That's just one of those things where the coaches, the players, pretty well had to come to terms with that loss somehow, and they had nothing to be ashamed of because they played a fantastic season.
Oh, had a great, and it was a good game too.
It was a great game.
Oh my gosh!
And it was funny the other day. I haven't even watched it again. And
No?
I haven't watched it again, but one of these days I will. But it was a pretty tight score, and it was a nail biter. It was a great game for the crowd, great game for the parents to watch, and you can't ask for much more than that. And someone does have to lose. There's no question about it. So
And you're coming back to coach Junior Bantam for your second year, right?
I'll be helping Nick. Yes.
So now you're gonna have some of those players back on your team, right?
Yes.
This year, presumably, because we have a whole
Depending on the
draft.
draft, of course.
Yeah,
yes.
do we have a drafting system?
Yeah.
So I mean, how do you take that one loss? You're obviously, because what I'm thinking here is when you sit those guys down and some of those veterans from last year, you're not going to talk about the games you won. You're going to talk about the one game you lost, right? Probably you're going to talk about. You see where I'm going with this?
I see where you're going with that. I mean, there's another golden opportunity, and you're going to rely on those players actually to become leaders on your team because they're the veterans. They've been in the trenches, and that one loss, I mean, that hurts. That stings, and they don't like to feel that way. And there's only one way to avoid that: get better, work together as a team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's. I guess we're kind of getting off topic here, but we keep score because when you lose, you grow, and when you win, it feels good, I guess. Is that where we're going?
You know, when you talk about that, but I was just thinking, as Tom was talking, is how difficult would it be to keep an undefeated team rolling along, especially with young people like that? When you're winning all the time, you know, there's egos involved and all these other things, and to be able to pull teaching points out of a blowout or a winning game, I think that's tremendous credit deserved by the coaching staff that can keep them week to week. This is another game. We're 0, you know, we're going out for that 1-0 every week kind of thing, and even as the team progresses to be the best in the division or whatever it is, I think to keep that going is, you know, tremendous credit to a coaching staff to do that. I think that'd be even tougher.
But preparing for the next week, though, after a win and after a series of wins, do you start looking at things that went a little bit wrong in the previous game to improve on? Like, how do you keep building and getting?
Yeah, you do, but only to a degree, and that the improvement really comes with teaching proper form, making sure they understand the playbook, because as you know, you're not playing the same team again. It's a different team, a different strategy, and it's a matter of adjusting to try and to meet that strategy to hopefully get another win. But it boils down to, again, making sure that you come together as a team. And if that last game was a real nail biter, that is a bit of a motivation for the team, saying, look, do you really want to be there? Especially when you know a team, when they gel together, it's a really great thing to watch. It's really neat football. And to keep them at that level, that's really, I think, the goal, and to make sure they have fun doing that. So.
Did you guys ever trail in a game during that season last year?
Oh yeah, we did.
A few times?
Yeah, there was a couple times we did trail, and it was tied at halftime, and we used to joke that it seemed like the team seemed to come alive near the end of the third quarter, and definitely in the fourth quarter. So.
I wonder what Belichick said to his boys when they were down, 25 points in the Super Bowl?
Wow.
That'd be an interesting conversation to hear about.
They're keeping score.
They're
Or
keeping
even
score.
on the other side of the ball.
Yeah.
You know, was that the blue team coming alive or the red team falling off?
Yeah.
There's many different ways to look at that and how the coaching comes. But like you said, to speak your team up, and that's what's very inspirational from what Tom says, is to come back from being down. I mean, we've always been blessed in our division with the young guys. We had 3 teams in our division, and throughout the league, the different cities put their teams together differently. So you can always have different goals within that, and we can try to be top of the league, which will be a high order in our division, or we can set smaller goals week to week, or be the best in Chilliwack, or whatever that looks like. I think the key for us has always been setting those goals.
Yeah.
And achieving different goals, whether they be small steps along the way, has always been a win to us. Last year, anyways.
Yeah.
Whether, like I said, even from when I started coaching the very small guys at Flag, is we got 75% of the kids that came back and registered again. I mean, for me, that's a win. That's a winning season. We got these kids off the couch. They're playing football. They're playing sports of some sort, and we're not fighting. And these days, especially, I think a win is if we beat out an iPad or these different screen times. I mean, that's a win to me. But
Get off the old, put down the mat, and pick up a football.
totally, exactly. And if we can get some kid throwing a football rather than playing as Russell Wilson on a video game, I mean, that's a win right there.
That's true.
To
That's
come
true.
out.
Okay, that's good. You want to elaborate some more? What do you got? What do you got for me?
I sit back and I know at times you like to see the topic a little bit opposing, but it seems like we're on the same page here, and that's kind of important, right? Because you want to see those kids succeed because it sets them up for success as adults.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. I mean, that whole working together as a team and knowing how that works. And when it comes to football, it really is challenging because there's so many moving parts. Yeah. And it's hard to get the kids to understand that. But if everybody literally does their job and it comes together, it's a fantastic thing to see. It really is. So.
And from that, like I said, the score kind of takes care of itself. I think either way. And back to the question, why do we keep score? I think for my definition is to assess how we did, to go back and assess ourselves and really look in the mirror and see whether we're the athletes or the coaches, how we did. And that's the way I look at keeping score. And
community associations, I mean, football or anything, the one association that focuses on winning all the time doesn't last. Because it becomes old star players and getting the win, getting the W, not getting everybody on there, and half the kids don't get to play, and they don't want to come back, right?
Sure.
So if you focus on winning all the time, it's going to kill your association.
Well, I've been part of a few, and that's what I love about ours, especially with the young guys, is we make sure everything's evened out and everybody's having fun. And the first 6 weeks to 2 months, we're at the atom level focusing on safe contact. I mean, that's a win. I think we're taking the head out of the game is the verbiage that we use, and to be able to tackle properly and to see that flow through even to professional levels these days, I think that's a win. I don't know how we keep score of that, but again, using the word differently, I think doesn't have to be based on numbers all the time.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. That's true. Do you remember you played, right?
I never played football.
You never played?
No.
As a coach, do you remember your biggest win?
Oh, God, I never even thought about it, because I have to agree with Colin. Like, I'm out there to make sure the kids are having fun and they're doing or what we practice, and that is success in seeing that. But I mean, I was just thinking about why we keep scoring. I thought about Coach Scott Wilkins, who was the head coach of our JB team, and he gets quite passionate about it. And if that score is that means of him getting passionate and saying this is what the team has to do to improve, then I think that's a good thing. I really do.
You can put a number on it. I think any goal without a way to measure it is useless. So I think the score is very important. Like as far as we need to score a touchdown or we need 3 field goals or whatever that looks like, it makes it measurable.
Field goal.
Or get some Adam field goals.
Maybe a pass. Maybe a pass. Wouldn't that be great?
Well, we've been talking with Coach Tim, and this year we're going to blow those usual numbers out of the market. We're getting airborne at the Adam level.
I was talking to Mike Kelly once, and he was talking about when he's coaching his son's Adam team, and they got killed. I mean, they got killed. The game was over before the national anthem, right? One of those. So, of course, your game's over, and you got these little kids who've never played before, and they're all huddled up. He goes, all right, guys, great effort today. We got a lot of first downs and clean handoffs. And hand goes up at the back. And sure, what's up, Johnny? Did we win? No, but there's a lot of good first downs. Those handoffs were great. We're going to work on that for half the time they don't even know what happened to those little kids. They're just running around. And they're so excited to be there. They get the pads on for the first time, and But yeah, it gets tougher though when you get to JB, Bantam, Junior, or Midget. It becomes about winning, and these guys want to win, and they want championships. They want to remember that, get that ring that represent their whole careers, and But how do you guide? Like, I mean, I don't know if you've ever coached for the 18-year-olds. How do you guide them that, despite the fact you want to win, it's still not about winning? Like, how do you get it into their heads?
I'm only guessing because Josh is only 12 years old, but it's a matter of discipline and asking them what they want to do and getting them to commit to themselves with that goal.
Yeah.
And supporting that once it happens. And yes, at that point, the win is the gauge as to whether in fact the commitment's there. Because if they really want to win, they can do it. It's like anything else.
Okay. So I guess in conclusion, it's kind of about winning, but not really. It's about learning. It's about growing, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's about small successes within the game.
Sure.
And my son was on our Pee Wee team last year that we didn't win a single game or get a single touchdown. But I look back on that season, and all I see are the positives that came out of it. A couple of players got their first crack at Star Bowl. My son didn't make Star Bowl, but he really came into his own as a player, got really good. A couple of guys, a lot of kids never played before, loved it. They're all coming back. We had a lot of fun, a lot of new friendships, and despite the fact that we didn't score any touchdowns, it was still a pretty winning season, a lot of aspects. So
you call it a win?
I call it a win. I call that season a win. It was a lot of fun. Scoreless, it was a lot of fun. I mean, it's frustrating at times, I'll admit. You're sitting there and the kids are making the same mistakes or whatever the problem was.
But do we find that the kids getting frustrated, or is it us or the parents or everybody else?
It's the parents.
That feels more about that.
It's the parents and the coaches, yeah.
I mean, again, I'm blessed with the opportunity to work with just the young guys. Where I can easily guide them into how they want to think. But as it gets older, I mean, parents get more buy-in and things like that, like you said.
Yeah, parents can be an issue. We had actually a topic about problem parents here on Blitz. Will be coming up in the not too distant future. It was kind of interesting. It can get a little controversial sometimes, not with the show per se, but some of the parents get a little too involved. Would you say, Tom?
Yeah, well, we'll use the word emotional.
Emotional.
Yeah,
that's a safe, polite.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody's different. Can we fault the passion that we have for our children? I don't know.
Emotional, passionate. Yes.
Emotional, passionate. Crazy is the better word.
Yeah.
This is an adult show.
It's an adult show. Yeah, that's the after-hours show. Okay, well, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Sir Tom Caverly for coming in.
I'm grateful for the opportunity. Thank you very much.
And, of course, our executive producer, Mr. Wayne Bjorgi, our technical producer in the studio, Tim Maston, social media empress extraordinaire, Jillian Fraser. And, Tom, you're part of the show, lining up guests and discussing topics and being our show whip.
And that actually reminds me, can you just tell everybody what we're going to be talking about next show?
What's on the board, Wayne? We're going to talk about what makes an athlete. How to define an athlete. What is an athlete? What makes an athlete?
And we're going to line up a couple of great guests to discuss
Fantastic.
that as well.
I'm excited. Okay. I want to tell you who it is because we'll spoil the surprise. You always got to leave them wanting a little more. Yes. First rule of showbiz, don't give it all away.
That's right.
But yeah, that's going to be our topic coming up. What makes an athlete? So tune in next week right here at ChilliwackGiants.com on Giants Blitz. I'm your host, Tim Amy. Thank you so much for tuning in.